The other thing I was going to ask you guys about, like, I don't know how many of you on the panel are fans of Lord of the Rings. I know Mauler is a little bit of a fan. You quite like it,
Oh yeah,
don't you?
the Sean Connery movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Shall not pass, Mauler. Yeah, do you know that like it makes you a racism if you like the Lord of the Rings because
Well,
it
why else would I
portrays
like it?
orcs?
I was about to say that's what makes it good, isn't it? How racist
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just find that like that line of thinking to be just utter BS. Like it's just not. And whoever starts saying that, they're just saying that for attention. It is just not true.
Well,
But
it's like major
it's
universities now. Like this is a part of like academic discourse now. Like at least in the UK, the analysis of Lord of the Rings in a university context can only be allowed now. You only pass your media literacy course, whatever the fuck it is that they hand out, if you denounce Lord of the Rings as being racist and Western centric and unaccepting of other cultures and races.
This is one of these ones that does my head
Wild,
in,
man.
because you can't get across you're the racist for saying it. If you're seeing it and teaching this, you're the racist, and that's that you just can't get it through to them that no one else in the real world, normal people, don't see it the way you're seeing it. You're the problem here.
Listen, you got to play within their rules, play their game, make the article or the essay, whatever, say Lord of the Rings is racist and why that's good. And then
That's a good thing. The only response I had to this on Twitter was like, okay, if you look at orcs, like a race of pure evil bred for one purpose, to destroy and pillage and rape, and you see black people, you're the problem. Like, I don't know how else to put this to you. That's not how normal people perceive Lord of the Rings or any fantasy genre.
Imagine having told Tolkien any of this shit. He would have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's how he would have said it, by the way, 100%.
I mean, and if you think about it, like, when Tolkien... Go ahead, Robot.
Oh, no, I was just saying something terribly racist, so please move on.
No change there then, Robot Head.
But if you think about it, when Tolkien was writing this story, he was going to the pub with his friends who are writers too. They were sharing stories. They were checking each other. You know, if Tolkien had made some like horrendous grave error, somebody would have called, like somebody who knows really well what literature does and what literature is meant to do would have been like, hey, buddy, you know, I think maybe you might want to change this bit. But there's none of that. There's nothing like that. And people who are coming up with these ideas, they're just looking for something to put their name on, to like hang their hat on, that they came up with this new theory, and then everybody jumps on it. Lord of the Rings is not racist. I'm so sorry. It just isn't.
I 100% agree. Sorry. No, on you go.
Oh, no, I was just going to add in, this isn't even an English course. It's a history course. And they're involving C.S. Lewis in there too. Like you have to pick apart all of the classic authors and how all of the stuff they wrote just hates black people.
Oh, yay.
It's like, was that decolonizing the curriculum by like cutting out all the authors who were actually good at what they did?
Right.
No, it's an interesting thing because it's like this kind of attack against like literary figures like Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, as you mentioned. It's like a series of waves, you know, crashing against the shore, or like the kind of sandcastle that represents like these guys' reputation. And it's like every time it comes in and every time another wave hits it, it just chips away at a little bit more. And I can't help but feel like that damage will gradually be like this cumulative thing. And the intention behind it is to just remove them as a cultural force, because they know that people still within that sort of fantasy genre or the literary genre, they look up to figures like Tolkien as these guys who created great works of art that people still appreciate even now. And you can't challenge the ideas of that directly because it's too terrifying and it's too difficult. So you attack the character of the author who created it and say, well, you know, he was raised in this different era. And he was probably racist, and I don't really have much to prove it, but, you know, he's an old white guy, and of course he was probably racist because that's just what everyone was back then. And look at how they portray all these peoples who are not from the West as we get it. in Lord of the Rings. That's perfect fodder for us to like deconstruct now. And we love deconstructing things. Deconstructing things is great because once you shift the sands beneath people's feet and you remove like their frame of reference for what is actually good storytelling, what's good character development, you can just rewrite the rules to serve you in any way that you want. Of course you can.
The thing is, though, does demolition count as deconstruction? Feels like there's a difference, you know? Just being like, I blew up a house, I deconstructed it. Like,
well, it's deconstruction in the sense like the intent behind it is to destroy, but they frame it as deconstructionism because we want to pick apart the meaning behind it, but we don't really. Yeah, we're just going to say that because that makes it easier to frame as like intellectual inquiry. It's not. It's a calculated attempt to discredit and destroy people who created things that we'll never be capable of creating.
But you know what? In 50 years, the new intellectuals, the new historians, the new people trying to make their career in their name, they're going to be looking at the people who are writing right now, saying these things right now about Lord of the Rings, and then deconstructing why they're wrong. And, you know, so it just doesn't make sense. I mean, there's no logic to it other than people trying to make a career.
It speaks to a kind of because you know, we've talked about this before on the channel, where there's universal themes, there's universal ideas of storytelling, and like whether it's concepts of heroism, loyalty, bravery, self-sacrifice, whatever. Like all that stuff comes in spades in things like Lord of the Rings. What you've gotten in the modern era is the backlash and the kind of polar opposite of that, where you have things like George R.R. Martin with the Song of Ice and Fire, where he takes the exact opposite route of like, oh well, these old-fashioned heroes who would like traditionally rise up and you know, overcome evil in these trying times like this. Look what happens if you put them into a real-world, cynical, awful situation where they just fail time and time again. You need people who are able to play the game, who have like moral grayness, who are willing to bend their principles and stuff in order to succeed and thrive. And look what we can create with that. And that was great up until a point, but now people have kind of abandoned that as well, partly because he hasn't fucking made anything worthwhile in like 15 years, but also because that kind of nihilistic, morally gray view has itself become old, and it doesn't lead to anything. It's hollow, it's empty, it doesn't nourish people. It doesn't provide you with a satisfying story at the end of it. And that's kind of interesting thing. Like, people will remember Lord of the Rings 100 years from now, long after we're all dead and gone. I don't think they're going to remember A Song of Ice and Fire. I really don't.
If you can't fucking finish it, it's in jeopardy of being forgotten with time. So
there's that.
I mean, you know, if it had like a really good ending, we'd be able to talk about what the ultimate point of like a lot of different portions of the story were. It's just really awkward position right now where we have to wait and assume things from the show, which were obviously like, ugh. You know, in terms of meaning, like, ugh.
He's never going to finish it, Mahler. Like, I honestly don't think he could ever finish it at this point. And whether he meant to sell away the inspiration for his story or not, it's already been finished by people who did it poorly. And now to write it all out, when you're a writer, you have this fire inside you to finish that story or to finish that arc or finish that character. And he absolutely just let that burn out by giving it away to HBO and then having them destroy it. I don't think he has the heart for it. And I think that's why he's going to the Hedge Knight series, because he does have a heart for that. And he is putting his heart into that product. Whether it turns out good or not, I cannot say, but I feel like that's where that's like the best comment. Yes, he is hedging his knight.
I think Gary made a great video about George just recently and like his inability to finish anything. And it's like he would much rather well, there's a great like montage of him just like playing like games around his villa and like, you know, just like playing racquetball and shit, like anything to avoid writing Winds of Winter. But like he would much rather do the Hedge Knight, the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, than finish Winds of Winter, because it's a nice simple story that he's got with that. Like he's not tied into this like ridiculous overarching narrative with a million characters, and it's like it's easy, and it's something that he can just like rattle off in a few hundred pages and move on to the next book. Of course, he's going to appreciate that, but like he's always going to be remembered now as the guy who started a story he couldn't finish. He bit off more than he can chew. And based on the dimensions of George R.R. Martin, like I feel like he can probably bite off and chew quite a bit.